Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Oscar Buzz, and it is time for Cannes Day 2. Have some interesting things today. Hirokazu Kore-eda's new film, Monster, has reviews out. Steve McQueen, the Oscar winner for 12 Years a Slave, has a new documentary. Lots and lots of fun things to talk about. But let's get actually started with some news. We got some news coming from the world of the
a couple little pieces.
So to kick us off, Neon. You may have heard of them. They won the last 3 Palme d'Ors, Portrait of a Lady on Fire, Parasite, Triangle of Sadness, all these types of things. They picked up an animated film, and this is very, very exciting. So
it's always good when Neon picks something up. I'll just put that. It's always good because, they're very successful here. And this is interesting. They picked up an animated film. Will it be? Well, it's not in competition, so that's a interesting thing to note. But it's interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, so this is coming from Deadline. They got the North American distribution rights to Robot Dreams. It's the first animated feature from a guy named Pablo Berger. And it's going to be premiering on Saturday. So it's based off of a graphic novel. It's about like a dog, it's like anthropomorphic animals, whatever, and it builds himself a companion robot. Takes place in 80s New York City, and then they have to like separate, and it's probably going to be like really sad, and people will cry.
Probably, potentially,
People are excited about this, though. People are very, very excited about this, and I'm intrigued. It looks interesting. I mean, listen, anything that Neon touches, I'm here for. And
exactly.
It's the first animated film as well.
Yeah, you definitely don't associate studios like Neon, or I guess A24 could be sort of lumped into that category. You don't really associate them with animated films, so it is interesting that they're maybe branching out. It does suggest that this is a very... Marcel, I guess, was a major one from A24 last year, but it does suggest that this film will be of a level of quality, which is always good because animated films...
Just like Marcel, I mean, that was
can be exactly
with animation. So
you've got one here. So very interesting, very interesting.
Another interesting piece of news is this. So Steve McQueen, as we mentioned, had a documentary premiering called Occupied City, and we'll talk about that in a second. But his new film, Blitz, we thought isn't going to come out this year. Is it next? Apple TV has distribution. Well, Terry Fremo, I think so you say his name. He's the head programmer at the Cannes Film Festival, and he said that it's likely going to premiere at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival. So we can take this out of our predictions and everything for this year, and look forward to next year. Apple TV, they have Killers of Flower Moon this year. They're hitting
no, definitely. I mean, this was always coming. I mean, it was always potentially coming out this year, but Apple had a stack lineup already. They've got Napoleon, they've got Killers, so they're going to be already preoccupied on the awards front. And if this is going to be an awards major contender, which I presume it will be. I mean, Steve McQueen, very big name. Look at the cast, look at the concept, all of those kind of things. It was kind of expected that it would not release this year, in my mind. So, not too surprising. Interestingly, it is premiere at Cannes, though. Suggests, an early start to the awards race potentially next year, we'll be seeing.
Absolutely. But let's get into the films this year, and let's actually start out with Steve McQueen's documentary, Occupied City. So we don't have any Metacritic for this, but we do have Letterboxd that's coming in at a 3.3. Not great. I mean, it's not terrible. Interestingly, runtime 4 hours 22. So I was gonna bring that up.
Jesus Christ. It does make me more excited about Blitz because it does suggest that he's done a heck of a lot of research around this topic. I will say that. This just feels like, he was doing the research for Blitz. He thought, why not make a documentary about it? So I don't know. It could be interesting, I guess. It's a big ask for people to watch. But 3.3 isn't great. So looking at a couple reviews, David Elric, very well-known film critic, I'd say, over at IndieWire, a good part of IndieWire. So it's interesting. He brings up there's not a single piece of archival footage or talking head, which is, I found really, really interesting for 4.5 hours. What are you filling that with? I don't know.
I know.
Interesting.
So he said it's about the occupied city of the Nazis through the prism of Amsterdam with COVID and the lockdown with that and the lockdown of so it's drawing parallels between those two things. It's all shot in 35 millimeter. So I don't know. It seems really, really interesting. It's about citywide curfews and stuff. Seems pretty fascinating. It's broken into 130 parts.
Yeah.
So
Jesus Christ. I think the only worry is it's probably a little too bloated, and I can tell that just by the runtime. There's probably some stuff we're going to make out. It seems like an interesting concept, though. definitely, for sure.
So that's what Matt Naglia also gave it 3 stars, said it
Yeah.
still would have communicated its message effectively with half the runtime.
Yes, yeah.
He said there was a lot that could have been left on the editing room floor, but it's very, very beautiful and like very much just a passion project. So
Yeah.
3 stars from Elric and Naglia makes sense. I don't know what we're going to be looking at for Metacritic on this, but 3.3 on Letterboxd. Not great, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Also,
Yeah.
A24 has this. So
Yes, I know, which is interesting.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so then we have Anselm, another just indulgent type of documentary
Yeah.
thing, and it's from Wim Wenders. So Wim Wenders has 2 movies,
Yep.
this documentary, and then that Japan Tokyo bathroom
Yes.
project, which I'm so
Yeah.
intrigued by.
I feel this one's going to get a little sort of overshadowed by
Right.
his, narrative film. Very strange concept. I feel this one might get a little overshadowed, but still, we should talk about it nonetheless.
Yeah, I mean, there's no Metacritic. Didn't see anything from like any of like the major critics that are there. So not that many people saw it. It's currently sitting at a 3.4, and it's all shot in 3D, and it's about
Is
like
it?
an artist like painting a portrait over the course of 2 years. So
Okay, right.
very
Okay.
pretentious, artsy, whatever. Very much just an indulgent passion project that, as you said, will probably be overshadowed. I don't think that we need to consider any of this for like award stuff. This or Occupied City.
God, no.
It just won't happen. But 3.4, it seems interesting. Like I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we'll see. But yeah, we are probably when we talk about Wim Wenders and Cannes, we're waiting.
This isn't going to be the movie we're
the actual. Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about the big one. Let's talk about the one that we're all here for.
This was the premiere of the day, 100%.
Yeah, it's the big one. It is Hirokazu Kore-eda's Monster. If you're unfamiliar with Hirokazu Kore-eda, Oscar nominee for Shoplifters, considered one of the best films of like the last decade. It's brilliant. Also did Broker last year, which a lot of people really liked. I was not among them, but a lot of people really liked it. His movies make people cry. And apparently this one was no different. Matt Naglia, get the tissue boxes ready. Just a very, very well-told story about insecurity and suppression. And it's interesting. He kind of brings it up, and Emma Sasika as well from Next Best Picture focuses on it. They both gave it 4 stars. It's a Rashomon story. It's a Rashomon style.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you're unfamiliar with this, everybody, it's basically where you're telling the same story, but from multiple different perspectives. You saw this most recently with The Last Duel. Or, well, you didn't because nobody saw that movie. But so it's just very, very well acted and written, and I guess the Rashomon effect is done really, really well.
Yeah, which is very interesting and will be a draw for people to, I guess, go and check out. Interestingly, the reviews are not quite as high as you might expect. Like, they're not shoplifter levels. We did think this was potentially one that could be in consideration for the Palme d'Or. At the end, obviously, they're not opposed to repeat winners. So, we thought maybe he could pick up a second, but it's not seeming that way. Like, his Letterboxd score is 3.6. It's good. It's very good. It seems like a lot of people are liking it, but they're not loving it in the same way they were.
Right. Like, Shoplifters is a 4.2. Even Broker is a 3.7. So this is currently up, a point below Broker. So it's weird because all the critics I'm seeing are really liking it, but I guess it's a bit of a slow burn.
Potentially, I can see that. Yeah,
I think maybe putting off a lot of people because like Iana Murray from The Playlist really liked it, gave it 4 stars. David Elric and Mindy Wire gave it a 3.5. But again, just saying it's just like it's very tender. He's focusing on the same themes once again of like found family and just like drawing people together and people crying. But just like, it was just like really well acted, very well written. We'll see where this ends up.
Yes. Yeah. Because we were talking about even potential awards, potential at the end of the year for international features, stuff like that. Going into Cannes, will that follow through? I don't know. It's the type of film that could. Like, it's got a big name attached, all of those kind of stuff. But it's getting those 4s, it's getting those 3.5s. It's not getting the 4.5 to 5. It's not making people.
Right.
It doesn't need to be instilling people with that much passion. So it'll be interesting to see if it can hold that throughout the year.
And we'll see. I think it needs to like place highly at Cannes Awards though, because like
yes, definitely.
It definitely needs that. And apparently it's a bit of a departure. Like he's still focusing on like the same themes, but he goes in a bit more of a disturbing way and exploring some of humanity's worst impulses. So like I don't know. It seems like a really interesting project, and like even though Broker wasn't entirely for me, like he still has my attention for whatever he wants after Shoplifters. So yeah, I don't. I'm still very intrigued by it. I don't think this has American distribution.
Okay. I mean, it feels like it will. Like, I don't think they're as worried about that. Maybe it will be Neon. Maybe it won't.
Right. I mean, they got his last one, so like maybe,
Yeah, there's
but
potential.
we'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see in the next couple of days if we get some sort of announcement about that. But overall, I'm still hyped about it. I'm still excited for
Yes,
it.
it still sounds like a very solid film at this.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I mean, we'll see what the jury thinks. We'll see what the jury thinks.
yeah, we will.
But yeah. So now I want us to take a look at something quick that I put together and that will be seen for the rest of this. We got the Cannes Film Festival standings. So these are the Cannes standings as they stand.
I guess, yeah.
And so they're gonna have all of the films that premiere at the Cannes Film Festival, at least that we talk about and that are like relevant, ranked by Metacritic and Letterboxd. So as you can see, only one of them has a Metacritic score as of now. But we at least have the Letterboxd scores. So this is where everything stands. If something is in competition, the number will be yellow. But this is how we're looking right now. So Monster is currently on top as the top film of the festival thus far. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, obviously tomorrow the big one is going to be Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, yes, I know. Interesting. It could be 3.6. I could see that. I'm not predicting it to do so well. I'm thinking it will probably land in the 60s on Metacritic, which would probably put it around the maybe 3.4 range, I guess, on Letterboxd. So yeah, it'll be interesting though.
I think it's going to get higher than that. And obviously you'll get to see this updated every single day. And you'll get to see all the updated Metacritic scores as they come in. But yeah, Indiana Jones is obviously the big one. Also, it's premiering right now as we're recording this, but Les Retours by Catherine Corsini is the next film after Monster that's premiering that's actually in competition.
So that'll be a very interesting look as well, yeah.
Right. So that's going to be pretty big. So we'll keep you updated on that. We'll be talking about that one tomorrow and seeing what the reviews are looking like for that. But this is Cannes as it stands. Again, Indiana Jones is the big thing tomorrow. It's exciting. But that is it for Cannes Day 2. Very interesting stuff. I'm curious to see what the Monster Metacritic score comes in at. And we'll talk about that tomorrow.
100%. But yeah, very interesting day. A lot more stuff than just Shindabarry, which we got yesterday. So a bit of a busy day, which is nice. And I'm sure it will only get busier from that.
Oh, it's only going to get busier.
Yeah.
But I'm excited. I'm very curious to see where the standings end up by the end of these couple of weeks. But that is it for today. So thank you, everybody, for watching. You can check out all of the, our links to social media stuff in the description. But until then, tomorrow.
That's tomorrow, yes.
Stay safe, everybody. And goodbye.